All right, guys, we are back. Welcome back. We're here with the Week 8 recap, which was one of the craziest weeks so far throughout the NFL season. One of the craziest weeks that I've ever watched. I thought this was a really awesome week of football. I don't know about you guys, but the 1 o'clock window was awesome. Every single game was just going down to the wire. Um, Even the afternoon games weren't too bad. The Bears game ended in crazy fashion with the Hail Mary, right? The Jaden Daniels Hail Mary. A lot of stuff going on. It was very exciting to watch. So we'll be doing the recap on that. We'll go through all the picks and why I picked them and how they went and whatnot. And so as usual, let's get into the week recap here. All right. Oh, got the Discord open. My bad. All right, so I have cursed the Vikings. I have only picked them twice, and of course, it's the only two losses that they have on the season is the weeks that I picked them, right? So I picked them because I didn't think Puka Nacua was going to be playing in this one. If I was going to be completely honest with you, I did not realize that Puka was playing, so that played a little factor into that. Obviously, with the Rams, with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, looked pretty awesome, right? Their offense was very explosive. They were hitting things at a much better rate. Kyren Williams was, it opened up the run game. I was really concerned about the Rams' defense also in this one. Their secondary hasn't been very good. However, it looks like they're probably going to keep Cooper Kupp. I don't know if that means they're going to be a buyer. I don't think that this Rams team is necessarily a team that wants to make some trades to go out and get another pieces to try to make a Super Bowl push. I don't think that's necessarily where this team's window is at. Whether or not they sneak in the playoffs, it's totally possible. I can see them getting into the wild card and maybe even stealing a game because you do have Matthew Stafford leading this offense, and he does it almost better than anybody else, right? He looked awesome in this one. He had a really awesome, touchdown throw to Cooper Kupp in the red zone where he was able to maneuver between two guys and then throw it in a tight window to Cooper Kupp. It was awesome. And that's what Matthew Stafford's been able to do throughout his entire career, right? However, the Vikings in this one, their blitz rate was a little bit down, which it was down in the week prior. And the Vikings just don't have the guys to straight up just rush for, and also they need to get pressure a little faster than other teams because they are weaker on the back half, right? Their secondary with Shaq Griffin and Stephon Gilmore is obviously not like super top tier. So that was something that was exposed in this game versus the Rams, where Puka Nacua really came back really strong. He looked really awesome in this one, and so did Cooper Kupp. So, and then also the Vikings offense doesn't have quite enough juice, especially with Christian Darrisaw going out and now out for the season with a torn ACL. He was one of the best, pass blocking and run blocking tackles in all of football, probably the best left tackle in all of football, if I'd like to say. But, sucks to see him go down, but also the Vikings really struggled without him. And that'll probably continue, so I might not be picking a whole lot of Vikings football games for the rest of the season, or at least in their favor. Is what it is, man. If you guys have anything to add on that, I mean, I'm not too sure, man. Next up, we have the Ravens over the Browns. And who would have known, man? Ravens defense looked a little bit rough in this one. They had a lot of dropped picks. Justin Tucker had a missed field goal. Tucker's been really washed. The defense isn't quite exactly as good as it was last year, right? I mean, they were the number one defense last year. So, obviously, they're not as good as they were last year, but they're also missing a few pieces that they were last year that they don't have this year, especially in that front seven, like Patrick Queen being gone and Geno Stone and whatnot, and Marlon Humphrey's getting old. But with Jameis Winston, I mean, this Cleveland Browns offense looked so much better without Watson, and I do know Kevin Stefanski did give up play calling as well, so under Ken Dorsey and Jameis Winston, the Browns offense looked a lot better. I know there was a lot of turnovers that should have happened, but they didn't happen, so you can't really say that, It is what it is. The Browns won. They had a great comeback win drive to, go down the field. I do want to add, though, that Lamar Jackson, I think, is still the MVP favorite, at least in my book. I mean, his game-winning drive, get a touchdown when you need it, when you got to have it, drive down the field, score the touchdown, and win, was spectacular. Obviously, you don't get the win. And they didn't have really enough time to drive down the field again versus the Browns without any timeouts. So I expect the Ravens to still be back up on top. I think they're still a top team in the AFC, and I wouldn't be too worried about them with the Ravens. But also going forward, I think the Browns' offense should be a lot more competent. And maybe, in fact, you might have wanted to keep Amari Cooper. But that's okay. Maybe try to get some draft compensation because obviously this isn't a team that you're probably going to be able to compete with in the future. They still have a lot of holes on the front seven. JOK is probably out with the season with that neck injury. That was a really scary injury, so he got carted off. And without him, man, that linebacker and front seven group isn't exactly what it was last year, right? So, yeah, man, I really expected the Ravens to beat them, even with the Jameis Winston change, and that didn't happen. So, on to the next matchup. This was the easiest pick of the week, which was why the Lions were picked 99% out of the entire population. The 1% was probably all Titans fans. This was a close game in the first quarter, much like the Bills game, and then the Lions just ran away with it. They had like almost under 200 yards of offense. If I'm not entirely sure. I think they did get over 200, but they did have 40 in the third quarter without 200 passing, like 200 total yards, and they were under like 80 passing yards. Crazy stat line. Jared Goff didn't have to do anything to win in this one. Their defense looked really great against the Tennessee Titans in, the second, third, and fourth quarter. And then obviously the special teams went off, man. Khalif Raymond had like himself a legacy game. Khalif Raymond legacy game was impressive to watch. He had a lot of awesome punt returns, a lot of awesome kickoff returns, and he looked awesome, man. I mean, he almost broke the punt return yard record, which was really cool. And that's something you don't really see all the time. But this Lions team can just win everywhere, right? Their special teams is awesome. Their defense is awesome. Their offensive line is awesome. Their passing game is awesome. They just have everything that's just kind of awesome, right? So they're continuing to roll. They're looking like the best team in the NFC. And like I called at the beginning of the season, I thought this team was probably going to be the NFC favorite to make it to the Super Bowl. And they're continuing to roll. So Lions win it big at home versus the Titans. So next up, I picked the Dolphins to beat the Cardinals, and what do you know, man? I wasn't thinking Kyler Murray with the Call of Duty release was going to play too good, but he was the best quarterback this weekend, was he not? He was number one in EPA per play. He had 300 total yards, had a couple touchdowns, and he looked really awesome, man. And he led the Cardinals to a game-winning drive to get the field goal and win the game versus the Dolphins. But I do like to add the Dolphins are a lot better of a team with Tua. They were a lot of fun to watch with Tua. And as much as I hate to say it, not really hate to say it, I mean, I haven't had that much beef with Tua, but I love to see Tua in the ball game, man. It's awesome to have him back on the field, and Tyreek Hill is so explosive with him, and Devin Achane and Waddle. It's a great combination to watch, and it's really awesome offense to watch, right? I love this Dolphins team when they're playing good. They're really fun. They're fast. They're explosive. They score a lot of points. Maybe not much in this game, but they looked really good. But the Cardinals also looked better. So Cardinals offense was looking a lot better. I think the Marvin Harrison Jr. route tree was a little bit better in this one. If I'm not sure if I remember, I don't have the chart pulled up, so I can't give it to you exactly. But their run game was a lot better. They were using their wide receivers all over the field, and Kyler Murray's pocket presence was pretty good in this one. I feel like he's kind of like Baker in that way, where it's like some weeks the pocket presence and the scrambling just isn't there, where it's like sometimes he's like as cool as a cucumber, and then sometimes he's just like panicking. Not necessarily panicking, but not making the right decisions because of how he's, facing the pressure coming at him, right? So that can happen with Kyler. It can happen with Baker. That's probably the next game, is it not? It is. So that steamrolls right into our next game. I picked the Atlanta Falcons to beat the Buccaneers. However, it was a lot closer than you might have thought. The Falcons were winning big, I think, in this one at one point, and then the Buccaneers started to come back, and they almost did, right? They had the drive where they wanted to go win it, but they couldn't. I picked the Falcons because Chris Godwin went down last week, out for the season. Most likely, he might be able to make like a Super Bowl return if they make the Super Bowl. That probably won't happen. And then also Mike Evans went down. So the wide receiver core was looking a little bleak. Obviously, we liked Cade Otton, who went off. Fan of the show, not actually, but Cade Otton went off in this one. He on National Tight Ends Day, might I add. Cade Otton looked great, and also so did Kyle Pitts. So Kyle Pitts looked awesome. The Atlanta Falcons offense continues to roll. This is a really fun offense to watch. They're very explosive. Kirk Cousins is doing almost all the right things. He does tend to turn the ball over, but when he's not, he's playing great football. And that's what they continue to do here. Everybody's just clicking on all cylinders. And they beat the Bucs, right? Not just with their defense, but with also on their offense. So good win from the Falcons to get a divisional win over the Bucs, and now they are leading the division and maybe possibly going to run away with it as well. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that one, but it's looking like the Falcons might just win the division pretty easily. So next up, I picked the Texans to beat the Colts. I was really on the fence about this one. I actually did want to pick the Colts, and I was really switching between it. I thought this was going to be a really good game. The accuracy issues with Anthony Richardson are just such a struggle, man. And this was obviously an issue coming out of college. He had like the lowest completion percentage in all of college football coming out into the NFL draft, at least out of all of those prospects, right? With, Levis, Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud and whatnot. So, we know he's a raw quarterback, and today he got benched, right? So he came out of this game because he was tired, which shows maybe a lack of effort and work ethic, and that's just not what you want out of your leader and your quarterback. So some things you need to get right there. And then also he needs to really work on the accuracy, right? So give this guy some time, man. He's still like the youngest starting quarterback in the league, which is absurd because, he played all of last year. Well, he didn't play all of last year, but, he started out last year, right? And he started out pretty good last year, and we were all really big fans of Anthony Richardson. I was a huge fan of him. I was really a huge fan of this Colts team. But now with Flacco, I don't know exactly where that really gets you. I mean, you want your young quarterback to get reps, and making the playoffs and, losing in the wild card is probably not your best bet. That's not really exactly where you want to push this as a franchise. Yeah, maybe you might make your fans a little bit happier, but down the road, you want to stack some draft picks together to make this team a little bit more formidable to compete with the Texans and the Jags in this division and the Titans, I guess. But the Texans' O-line looked a little rough again in this one, but, they got C.J. Stroud and Joe Mixon, and Stephon Diggs now went out without the season, and the Texans got to turn around on Thursday night, not tomorrow, but the next day to face off without their two-star wide receivers. So now they got Tank Dell going out there with a bunch of other nobodies, right? So maybe a big game from Dalton Schultz, but they'll really have to rely on C.J. Stroud and Joe Mixon in the plays they'll be able to make on Thursday. But I guess that's just a preview, right? So we'll talk about that tomorrow night in the tomorrow night stream. If you guys like to tune into that, I'll be live right around the same time again tomorrow at 10 Eastern, 8 p.m. my time. It's give or take 30 minutes, so bear with me, but I can't always have the most consistent schedule. I'm sorry about that. But, yeah, Texans won this one in a close one. And now they're probably going to win the division as well. Looks like they're probably going to run away with it with Joe Flacco taking over the starting job. So I don't have a whole lot to add on this one. By the way, I'd like to add that the the record this week was 10-6. We went 10-6, so it wasn't too bad. Wasn't the best week ever. I plan on having a better week again next week. So the next game, I picked the Bengals. So I actually picked the Eagles in this one, but Reggie made me flip my pick. I wanted to pick the Eagles because I felt like their defense was better than the Bengals. The Bengals have the worst defense in all of football. And then also I felt like the Eagles offense might be better than the Bengals as well, which it clearly was, right? Reggie wanted me to pick this game because they were 5-0 in their whiteout games. They are now 5-1. So that sucks. Oh well. I don't have a whole lot to add on the Bengals. It's the same old Bengals, man. Their offense is really awesome, and their defense isn't. And it's kind of hard to hit stuff when they just know you have to pass the ball, and they can't get the run game established as well. So I like to say that the Eagles' defense looked a lot better in this one. They were able to slow down the Bengals. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell looked really fantastic in this one. Cooper DeJean is a really solidified nickel, and Quinyon Mitchell on the outside has been really awesome, right? So he's looking really good. And then this Eagles offense is looking really good. I like the way they were able to open up their playbook a little bit better with Kellen Moore calling plays this weekend. They had a lot more outside zone runs. They had a lot more stuff over the middle, a lot more play action. They were under the center a lot more. It wasn't just all straight out, like out of the shotgun that it has been the last 2 years, right? Which they were like 95% out of shotgun like the last couple of weeks or whatever it was. Maybe not the last couple of weeks, but I remember last year like their losing streak was primarily because they were so predictable and the running lanes were really hard to come by. And now they're running the ball so well with Saquon Barkley, and he's playing just phenomenal ball. He's playing like an offensive player of the year. And then also on top of that, Jalen Hurts had a fantastic game. This was his best game of the season by far. He was one of the best quarterbacks of the week. He was second in EPA per play, which was awesome. And I really liked that it wasn't just all the 50-50 balls to A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith, and they were able to hit a lot of other big plays through the middle of the field and what other plays, right? So I like a little bit more stuff going to A.J. Brown. I do got him on my fantasy team, so that'd be really nice. And if you guys are watching and you want to call in, you want to talk to me about some footballs, call in. Get in the Discord. I'll send the link in there, and we can talk some football. Talk about your favorite football team. I'd love to talk football with any of you guys. So, next up, we had the Patriots versus the Jets. All right, so I picked the Patriots, man, to beat the Jets. Isn't that huge? Sorry, I'm like inside the mic. I'm probably a little bit loud, but yeah, man. I actually picked them because I thought Drake May was going to be awesome, and they were going to beat the Jets, who continued to lose. I really like the Patriots' defense. It's a home game. The Jets always find a way to lose to the Patriots in a game or two. So I was like, the Patriots got to steal a game here from the Jets, and Drake May will look really awesome, and the defense will look really awesome. Their defense did look really awesome, but Drake May out with a concussion. However, he looked really good on the first couple drives, right? Was it one or two drives that he played? I'm not entirely sure, but I remember on the first drive he looked really good. He had a lot of awesome throws. The way he's able to maneuver in the pocket is just, really special, and his arms obviously really special as well, right? The arm power and velocity that he's able to get behind it is already like top 10, right? So I don't have a whole lot to add about the Patriots or Drake May. So we can talk about the Jets and how their season's over. They now have the same record as the Patriots. And it's looking really rough because you just traded, draft capital for Davante Adams, who you're paying, who's going to be getting paid $35 million next year. So you don't really have a lot of cap flexibility. I haven't looked at their cap space or the spot track yet, but I'm sure they don't have a whole lot of cap space. You probably need to get a Sauce Gardner extension, which he hasn't looked fantastic at all this year, right? Honestly, he's looked bad. He's not looked like a top 10 cornerback this year, at least in my opinion, right? He's let up a lot of touchdowns, actually, and a lot of deep shots as well, man. It's just, if he's not grabbing, he can't really make a lot of plays on the football. So, Jets defense hasn't looked as good as you want it to be. You got Hassan Reddick back this week, and it didn't even matter. And then also on top of that, like Aaron Rodgers and the offense just can't get anything going again. And now they are 0-3 without Robert Saleh, which it's like, dude, you can't go 0-3 after firing your head coach. And it's just, I don't want to point any fingers, but I mean, their defense has looked a lot worse without their defensive head coach, and the game plan just doesn't make any sense, and the offense isn't working, and it's just no bueno, right, man? So Jets are continuing to fall, and it is what it is at this point. I mean, it's going to continue on the spiral, and I don't think it'll get any better until you probably fix a whole lot of issues, because I feel like they have a lot of guys we like, right? I mean, we all like Davante Adams. We all like Garrett Wilson. We all like Breece Hall. We all like the defense. We like everything on the defense. Maybe they're underperforming right now, but they shouldn't have to carry the offense, right, every single week. They have a whole lot of guys that we like, except for on the offensive line and possibly at the quarterback spot, right? You don't have a top 15 quarterback, and it really shows. The Patriots won, so this was a really awesome win for the Patriots. If you're a Patriots fan, this is awesome. However, you'd probably like it to be Drake May and not Jacoby Brissett leading the game-winning drive, right? Little unlucky. It is what it is, because if you want all your wins, you want them to all be from Drake May. You want him to get as much experience as possible. But also, like, if you're not going to have Drake May, you kind of want to just lose so you can get a better draft pick. But this is fine. Next up, picked the Packers to beat the Jaguars. I did not expect it to be this close. However, Jordan Love did go down. It was 10-0 when he went down, and that's kind of what I think propelled this Jaguars team. They got a little momentum off of that. Defense started playing a lot better. And so did the offense, man. Trevor Lawrence is playing a lot better football than he was at the very beginning of the season. But this Jaguars defense is really bad, and their run game just can't really get anything going, and the coaching isn't, really good. And the Packers are just supercharged everywhere, right? They're not all the way there yet. I don't think this is going to be necessarily a Super Bowl contending team, but definitely an NFC Championship contending team. Like, they can maybe make an NFC Championship push and lose there, maybe to whoever they play, right? The Lions, the Niners, Eagles. We'll see, but they looked good in this one. Hopefully Jordan Love will be back this week. It was a groin injury. It was a really weird one. It was like a non-contact, but also a contact injury at the same time. He kind of like started limping, but I'd expect him to be back and be at full health probably at the end of this week and play in their matchup. But even without him, man, they looked, just fine against the Jaguars, and that kind of might say something against this defense, right? So next up, I was fooled and picked the Seattle Seahawks at home, underdog versus the Bills. I was really persuaded by the way they were able to play against the Atlanta Falcons the week prior. Their defense wasn't able to do a whole lot. They did pick off Josh Allen, which was awesome. I thought the defense played fine. They just couldn't get anything going on offense, which I guess I should have taken into account that DK was injured. Maybe I thought he was going to play in this matchup, but however, DK Metcalf did not play, and that could have been part of the reason why they weren't, performing as well on offense. But there was a lot of like special teams fumble, snap fumbled over the head of Geno Smith, and then Josh Allen, right? That's all I gotta say, man. Josh Allen, the Bills, and they were able to come into the Seattle Seahawks house and win, man. I don't think the coaching was spectacular. I don't think the play calling was spectacular. And this was kind of a tough one to watch. I actually turned it off in the third quarter, man. And the Seahawks lost. So they might make the playoffs. They might not. They're just like, a 50-50 team, man. They're probably going to be 9-8 or 10-6 or, 8-9, right around there. And it just kind of depends on how the schedule plays out. But this isn't a game that you probably thought the Seahawks were going to win going into it. And obviously that speaks to the money line and the 16% pick for the Seattle Seahawks. I picked the dog, and they didn't win. So, I would like to add the Bills look a lot better with Amari Cooper. And Keon Coleman starting to break into his own. So that's really nice to see. Talking about rookie wide receivers who are breaking into their own, Ladd McConkey had a fantastic game. I think over 120 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. He was really spectacular. He had that really awesome touchdown, that really long one that stretched both sides of the field. Justin Herbert looked really good in this one. The run game looked really good in this one. And that offensive line is awesome, which is what we expected, right? And then the defense looked really awesome as well. Spencer Rattler wasn't fantastic in this one, and that's why Jake Haener came in to play. And I think Derek Carr is going to be back next week, but I think everybody kind of thought the Chargers were going to win this one with Derek Carr out, and I think Olave might have played, but coming off an injury and without Rashid Shaheed, they're kind of just injured all over the field. They're also without 2 of their cornerbacks and a bunch of other dudes on defense, so it was a pretty easy pick for me with this one. Saints are so injured, and the Chargers are pretty healthy, and they got a lot of dudes there that we all really like. So they won this one at home, and they're continuing to roll, man. They're looking good. They're playing good football. Next up, picked the Bears to beat the Commanders, man. And they, I don't want to say should have won, because they shouldn't have won, man. The Commanders should have won this one. They were outplaying the Bears all the way up until the fourth quarter. I don't want people to look at the scoreboard and the box score and think Caleb Williams is a bust because of the completion percentage, because I know it's just 2 different things between him and Anthony Richardson. Like, yes, the accuracy is definitely a problem for both people, but I mean, what Caleb Williams is able to do is still so special. We saw it on that fourth quarter rolling out, dodging defenders left and right, getting the ball to Keenan Allen to extend the drive on a very crucial, have to have it, touchdown drive. He's clutch. He's cool. He's calm, collected. He looked awesome, right? And he needs to play like that every single game, man. So the consistency is still just not there, and that's just been a problem with it, the entire year. However, I'd like to add that this coaching staff is bottom 5 in all of football, and the interior offensive line is also bottom 5 in all of football. Those two things need to change. You need to fire Eberflus. You need to fire Shane Waldron. It's not looking good, man. I mean, you could add Jim Harbaugh. That's who I wish they hired. I really thought they were going to fire Eberflus and hire either Belichick or Jim Harbaugh, which didn't happen. I was really, really, really hoping for that Jim Harbaugh hire. Didn't happen. He went to the Chargers, which was also kind of expected. I think they were the leading favorite, but really wanted him to go to the Bears. And this coaching staff is just not good. This is a trend that's happened with the Bears organization, their entire franchise, right? They can't get the quarterback, and then they can't get the coach, and then when they get the quarterback, they can't get the coach, so then the quarterback starts to fail, and that's what you're starting to see here, right? The play calling is atrocious. It was in Seattle last year with Shane Waldron calling the plays, and it's just not good again here with Eberflus, and, the Hail Mary was just awful. You can clearly see there's something wrong there with the culture. There's something wrong with the play calling. The personnel usage is just off. You can't give the ball to your center on, the 1 yard line on 4th and goal or whatever. And then also not having any pass rushers in to get Jaden Daniels sacked or anything on the Hail Mary is just downright terrible. However, Jaden Daniels looked fantastic in this one. Still looking like the rookie of the year. He's been fantastic. He's awesome. He hits throws all over the field. He was really calm and cool under pressure. His scrambling and escapability was also awesome and on point in this one again. And even with the broken rib, man, he just balled out and he outplayed Caleb Williams in this one, which I thought Caleb Williams was going to be able to outplay, the Commanders and that defense there. But the Commanders' defense is a lot better than maybe a lot of people maybe give it credit for. I haven't seen a lot of the EPA numbers, but I think they're right around the middle of the pack, and this is like a roster that should probably be right there towards the bottom. So, yeah, man. Bears have a lot of changes that I think they need to make this off season, and we'll see if they try to make them, but we'll see, man. Next up, I picked the Broncos to beat the Panthers. Broncos just have a top 5 defense in all of football. And Bo Nix was really awesome in this one. I was really surprised with his performance. I was really surprised with the offense's performance as a whole. However, I'd like to add that this Panthers defense is the worst defense in all of football. They haven't drafted dudes with serious capital there in a while. They got rid of dudes. In fact, they got rid of Brian Birds, which was their best edge rusher, right? So it is what it is, man. I thought Bryce Young looked a lot better than maybe people give him credit for. I think you should continue to stay the starter. You just need to give Bryce Young, more minutes, more snaps, and get him rolling, man. Give that guy some confidence, man. But they just traded away Deontay Johnson, which is also very questionable. I do not understand trading away Deontay Johnson. What does that help? Maybe they're thinking Xavier Legette is there to stay and there to be the guy there. Maybe Adam Thielen's coming back, so they're like, okay, we got Legette and we got Thielen, and we're not going to make a serious push with Deontay Johnson. He doesn't actually have that huge of an impact for Bryce Young. So maybe I can see the vision there, and you need to really start to stack draft picks and stack a lot of good drafts together to really get this team rolling. So they have a lot of holes on offense, a lot of holes on defense, and they just need that to get fixed, right? And the Broncos are also looking like a AFC contender. Not contender, I'm sorry. AFC playoff picture contender, right? They're probably looking like a wild card team. This defense is fantastic. They have the best secondary in all of football. And the way they've turned around this defense in just, one offseason was really fantastic. And there's clearly a culture change there that they've bought into. And they continue to win. Obviously not against very good teams, but they're winning. So they're very important, right? So this is a win you need and a win you want, and that's a win you got. So it was good to see from the Broncos in this one. Next up, I picked the Chiefs to beat the Raiders. They're 7-0. It's the Chiefs. It's Mahomes. Kelsey looked awesome in this one. He looked like Travis Kelsey. And the Raiders, as per usual, they just have a whole lot of the holes to fix, just kind of all up and down on the offense. So whether they're able to fix that or not, I don't know. We'll see, man. They haven't drafted well, I think, in a while. I mean, Brock Bowers is a hit, but that was like the guy, man. That was like, you just drafted the best player available. Everybody really liked Brock, and he's playing fantastic. I don't want to discredit the pick and the selection there and the player that he is, but Tyree Wilson is also just not that great. You drafted him over Jalen Carter. They just need to start stacking things together, stacking a lot of better moves together, and then find your quarterback. And this can be probably a pretty solid football team. However, they lost this one to the 7-0 Chiefs, right? So they're a Super Bowl favorite. They haven't lost a football game in a very long time now, actually. So if they go 17-0, it's actually really like, what, 22-0 or something? When's the last time this football team lost? I don't remember. So I don't think they've lost since like November of last year. So they continue to roll, and it's Mahomes, man. He doesn't need to play his best football to win. He's just a winner. He's got the winning gene, and he's continuing to roll, and it's awesome. Now, next up, I'm getting tired, man. I'm not going to lie. It's 9 o'clock, and I'm getting tired. What's going on? I guess I woke up a little earlier than normal, I guess, this morning. But there's not a whole lot to say about this Cowboys team. They're the same old Cowboys. The defense is pretty injured, and they're not looking good without the injuries, which is expected. And they obviously have a serious problem on offense. They have no run game whatsoever. Their offensive line isn't perfect, and they just don't have any wide receivers outside of CeeDee Lamb. Jake Ferguson is all right, but he'd be like a really ideal like third or fourth option. He's not like your second option. He's not Jason Witten, right? He's not your tight end that you're like, all right, if CD can't get it going, we know this guy's going to get it going, and he just can't. And that's kind of why I feel like the Cowboys are looking so great in like the second half of these games, is because teams are expecting them to throw. And that's kind of just what the Cowboys need, is it makes it easier for them to run the ball when they're in all the too high shells. So the Cowboys were running the ball a little bit better in the second half, and because of that, they're also able to pass the ball a lot better. And CeeDee Lamb went absolutely berserk in the second half, specifically the fourth quarter. And for 49ers fans, I mean, looking at this box score, we all know, like, this is just like that Ravens game where it's just kind of a little bit phony. 49ers still playing good football, even without all their best football players, which is really great to see. They're still a contender in the NFC West, and I continue to have them roll and probably win the NFC West, which is also why I picked the 49ers. I felt like the 49ers are the clear-cut favorite to win the NFC West. I think they had the best offense and defense, at least in that division, and they probably had the better offense and defense than the Cowboys. And that's why they were able to win this one pretty easily, I felt like, at home versus the Cowboys. So, not much to really say, I think, here with the Steelers. A lot of people picked the Steelers. Not a lot of people like Daniel Jones. I think the play calling is god-awful. Man, Dabe's probably got to go. Daniel Jones has also probably got to go. I don't know, man, because I don't know if Dable is calling the plays and if he called that 2-point conversion and what's going on there and what needs to change there. Maybe Dable doesn't need to be fired, because I really like the Giants culture. They're such a feisty team. They're always right there in it, one-score game in every single game, and that's why they were able to go to the playoffs a couple years ago, right? They were winning all those one-score games, and they had enough juice just to do it, right? But now they don't. They don't have all the dudes everywhere, and they need to stack a couple drafts and get free agency and get a quarterback and get rolling, right? So do that. Maybe get a new coach. If you're going to get a new quarterback, I'd suggest you get a new coach as well, though. And that's what I suggested with the Bears to do as well, and they didn't do that. And a lot of teams just don't do that sometimes. You kind of just need to get your coach that likes the new quarterback. You want them to work well together. You want them to mesh well and really build that chemistry in the locker room and the playbook and make it easy for everyone. And that's what you got with the Commanders, and that's why they look so awesome with Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury. You got this awesome hiring process, and then they do their quarterback evaluation and they take Jaden Daniels, who wasn't necessarily the favorite over Drake May going into the draft, but then, with these selections, it's like, all right, these guys really like Jaden Daniels, and he goes to the Commanders, and the Commanders, have obviously played really great. And like I was saying earlier, I mean, this defense on the Commanders don't necessarily look like they're really top of the line, but they're probably right around the middle of the pack in EPA per play, so they're definitely playing a lot better than expected. And I think that's also probably a team with the Giants, and maybe the record doesn't exactly show that. However, I like to mention Russell Wilson's looked pretty consistent the last 2 weeks now playing football. He's been playing pretty good football. And the Steelers team is 6-2, man. They're looking great, man. They're looking like your normal Steelers team. They'll probably finish with 11 wins. I'd have to guess probably, split a couple games. You got Russ, so love to see Russ cook, Russ do his thing, and they won that one. So, yeah, man. Big win, and I think that's really, really all I got for it. So, thank you guys for tuning into this one. Thank you for watching the Week 8 recap. Tomorrow I'll be live with the Week 9 preview. Talking to football. Call in if you like. Love to talk to you guys. Share your opinions and thoughts about your favorite football team or whatever you got going on. Really helps with all of my conversations because I got to talk about all 32 NFL football teams. Well, not all 32 now, but I got to talk about like 28, right? Which, if you don't know, I got 2 eyes. I got 1 brain. I can't really watch every single football game, and I don't have all the time to watch all of it. So I got to look at a lot of the advanced metrics. Got to do a lot of condensed football watching. But yeah, man, make sure to like and subscribe. Tune into the next episode. I'll be live tomorrow right around the same time at 8 Mountain Time.